And next I invite Mr. Mahesh Patankar, MD Ensystem. Then we have Mr. Bikash Dugar, who leads investor relationships at Varroc Engineering. I would request moderator to keep a check on time. And
food for thought. And our earlier panel has actually touched upon many broader level pictures, and I hope that this panel and next panel we will try to connect the dots. And in earlier panel we heard Dr. Dev talking about open access, regulations, issues around it, consumer sectors facing difficulties. Then Dr. Netra talked about demand response, having the right efficient markets, energy efficiency. So I think in this panel we will be able to touch upon further on these topics. And Dr. Agnihotri talked about niyat versus kuvat, so intention versus ability. And I think commercial industrial consumers, which actually has, I think, around 53 to 55% of consumption on India's grid come from the commercial industrial consumers. And I am sure that we have a right niyat from large commercial industrial consumers to not only make money but also help with the environmental and sustainability growth for the country and themselves. Now talking about the numbers, Dr. Agnihotri mentioned about relative term and absolute term for the thermal generation. And as we look back in 2010, the thermal generation was around just 84 gigawatt versus right now we are at the 238 gigawatt. But that is on the absolute term it has grown, but in the relative term, right now we have 38% renewables on the grid, so which was earlier only 10%. So we are moving on the right direction, and we want to reach to 450 gigawatt of renewables by end of 2030, and that's the journey that we have to achieve in the coming years. So India right now has around 130 gigawatt of renewables, 72 gigawatt solar, 44 gigawatt wind. Stephen mentioned about in 2009 being just a 1 megawatt solar. So we have really achieved a lot in this year, but there is a lot to achieve. I would say that right now India is one of the fastest growing economy, and commercial industrial consumers are playing a big role. India is focusing on manufacturing. When we are just growing these economic development activities, we would like to make sure that they go ahead with the sustainable manner, and that is where it is important to understand the perspective from commercial and industrial consumers. How do they look at it as a journey over maybe past decade? What are their plans? We have two gentlemen representing large corporates who can talk about their perspective on energy sector. We have Dhruv and Mahesh. I am happy to host my former colleagues. Dhruv will talk about the India Energy Exchange, and Mahesh is always there with the all regulatory and policy updates, and one of our first demand response program, Mahesh was fully involved and actually led that program. So starting with you, Bikash ji, I would like to know about your perspective on energy sector. You are with Varroc, auto component manufacturing companies. You have seen the energy sector, and recently you have led the initiative for going with the renewable energy procurement for Varroc. So over to you for your perspectives.
As a company, renewable energy is something which we started, I think maybe 15 years, 17 years back. So we have around 70 megawatt of renewable energy which we procure to captive generation on both wind and solar. That was more than 15 years back. But in the last 1 decade we have not done, or we did not add any capacity as such. And that's mainly because one was viability, because again what is the ROI which we are generating and all those things. And second more important aspect was regulatory aspects as such. We were not clear that how the sector is going to move, and there was no clear guidance or reforms which were in public, which the industry was not able to understand. But okay, sometimes the regulators were sending notices which were not in line with what the central government was saying and all those things. Because of that, there was a little bit of apprehension in terms of the company that okay, we need to do more on the renewable energy, but yes, we need to run our company also. So that's why, but last year I think with the help of CS, we were able to understand better this sector and how we can procure more renewable energy as such. And then now we have taken a journey and we want to achieve what is we are saying RE100. And we are into that journey. And recently we have signed around more than 30 megawatt, which will come and be supplied to us from next financial year. Yes, we want to do more on this sector, but yes, again the viability or the return on the investment which we are doing, or the investment which we are doing, whether that makes sense or not sense. And again, when we are talking about renewable energy, mainly the two form of renewable energy is solar as well as wind. Again, those are not available 24/7, and the consumption pattern which we have doesn't make viable for that. Then again, the storage plays a bigger role. So again, how the storage and the cost of storage is again something which is hindering for us to procure more from renewable energy. But we have some commitment we want to make, and over a period of time you will see Varroc as a company procuring more from renewable energy, and will reach more than 50% in 2 to 3 years of time. And I think such initiative or such forum will really help us to understand more about what's happening on the renewable energy and how as a company we can also help India to achieve this net zero by 2070 or before that.
Thanks, Bikash. So when we started in 2010, the main intention for commercial industrial consumers is to save on the electricity cost, because energy cost is the major cost for many industries. Recently we are working with many data centers, and there as well with the 24/7 operation, and they bringing the hundreds of megawatt of load on the grid. It is really very important for the management to make sure that how exactly they can reduce the energy cost. But in the recent years, the focus is shifted to sustainable energy, renewable energy. But Bikash, as you said, although we talk about renewable energy, you mentioned the ROI. So management is also willing to know how effectively they can purchase the electricity. What are the efficient ways, what are the different combinations, managing portfolio of energy, solar wind combination, and understanding the policy and regulations, understanding the rules about the settlement and banking. Everything comes into picture when any consumer taking any decision going ahead for procurement of energy. I would request Praveen ji to talk about Bridgestone's journey. Bridgestone is an international company. You have an international presence, international target, internal target maybe on the sustainability. What is happening at Bridgestone?
So at the outset, I would like to say thanks to CES that you called me here in this fantastic platform. Very good audience, good ambient, and topic is also very, very interesting. I also congratulate you because this is 25th anniversary. The company, if you count that how many companies are running since last 25 years, not much. Related to this topic, I have two perspectives. One is my personal and second is professional. I'm sorry, I'm little going deep down. In my personal, so when I was in college, and so I'm a mechanical engineer from an IT department, and if you are an engineer, you must be knowing that you have to have compulsory project, because without this you cannot get the marks, alright, and you need marks. So I also thinking something out of the box. What should be the easy project for me? So I decided let's think about some renewal. And me and a few, 2-3 more my fellow, we took the topic that let's make a AC system using solar energy. Few months we did the work. Even my professor, supervisor, he was also confused what is going in this project. We did our everything, fantastic report. Then somebody asked me, "Chal paega?" I said, I did not do this project ki chal paega. I tried to make the concept. And I am sure this concept will work. And that is working now. Now let me talk about my industrial professional experience, how this transition is going on. So when we opened our plant in Indore, in MP, and electricity, you were able to count how many hours electricity is there. So we had, because we had to run the industry, we never thought for renewable sources. All right, the first purpose was to run the factory. Economic sustainability was the only thing. Though it was triple bottom line that time, but people are thinking for the economic sustainability. Pick up diesel engine, okay, diesel generator, and then backup for MPEV. Later on, when government given the quality, but I am telling this because how the government also improved. It's not only industry, government also improved. They've given actually a dedicated power to us. Slowly we stop the diesel generators. But recently, as you told, 2010, we found a big change in the energy transformation. Now people are talking about how we can change the conventional source of energy to renewable source of energy. All right. But again, then same thing come concept. So I'm talking about, maybe you must be having my 4C concept here. So this concept come many times. So again the concept come, and the Japanese people, when they decide some concept or strategy, पूरा ठोक बजा के लेते हैं. It's not that just come the idea, note down the paper and do it tomorrow. There are stakeholders, they take consensus, then only they go. But then they actually save the time in the execution. Same thing here. When it was decided that, and company decided, especially Bridgestone is global, we follow the global rules for the sustainability, that whatever 2011 my carbon footprint is there, I have to reduce 50% by 2030 and 100% by 2050. From where to start? What are the low-hanging fruits? We thought let's work on this renewable source of energy because this can give us scope 1 and scope 2 at least. Scope 3 at this moment is still not in our hand. So we decided scope 1 and scope 2. Then the things come, what we should do, whether we should go to wind, we should go to solar. Many gentlemen came, they given the advice, solar is better. And then finally, darte, we started one solar power, rooftop solar plant in the plant, which is around 1.7 megawatt at this moment. It ran good because it was cheaper also. And this way we gained the experience, and finally in Pune we started the 5 megawatt power plant, which is running very well. Around 6 to 8% of energy is renewable. Then we thought, why not we should do something to the scope 1? And the idea came, and I'm telling you that when you decide the concept, you have to think about some out-of-box idea, because then only you can survive. You have to take some risk, and then it is required to develop the capability, which is my second C. And India was developing the capability for solar, wind, but we also take a risk, and we went for biomass over the natural gas, and we started biomass boiler in our Pune plant. Successfully running since many years. We got a lot of award also from external agencies and from internal as well. Nowadays, which is the third transformation we say in Bridgestone, that because very soon in 2030 we have to have 50% scope 1 and scope 2 through carbon neutral. What we did actually, what we are doing at this moment, and we are seeking support from a lot of expertise and a lot of subject matter expert, how we can change, the entire electricity as well as entire scope 1, especially boiler, my canteen, my transportation, everything should be a renewable source of energy or sustainable source of energy. This is actually strategy we are having. But one thing I want to tell you, because the bill is very important, not the skill. Skill will come, but bill is very, very important. And that's come then when you listen to the customer. So my customer is also asking that you have to have plan to, switch your entire things, especially scope and scope 2. So because we are their suppliers, so if we will not do, they will not actually achieve their own target. So very proud to say that my Pune plant by 2022, this year only, because certification and that is in the public now, we are carbon neutral. I think very few tire companies those are carbon neutral. We are not net zero, but we are carbon neutral. 6% is still emission is there, which we are trying to reduce. My point is here, which I want to tell you everybody, that you require concept, even you and the industry. You require capability. And you have to listen to your customer. Customer may be your employee, customer may be your other stakeholder. It's not only whom do you sell your product. So the point is that you have to listen what is going, what is coming and what is going in the future. And the fourth is you have to make the culture. Culture means every people in the organization, industry, if you think about that we have to go in this direction, I am sure sooner or later you will achieve this. Thank you.
Thanks, Praveenji. And it is very important, as you said, we have to build that culture within the organization so that everybody is aligned that what is happening, what decision is taken by management and aligned with that. As you said that there are many corporates in India who are serving international clients, European clients, and there they see that push for, one thing is renewable energy is getting cheaper and more available, so that is one part of taking that decision. But other thing is even there is an international push for reducing that scope 1, scope 2 emissions, and that has led to the decisions for going with the renewable energy. And as we are talking about renewable energy, it comes with different types of agreements, different types of options, and maybe we can touch upon them at later point. Moving on to Dhruv, you are part of now India Energy Exchange, started in 2007. Over the years, IEX has played important role, introduced multiple market segments, and now renewable energy is also available on exchange, and there is a possibility for utilities as well as consumers to purchase it from the exchange. So over to you on this energy transition journey as a power exchange, major power exchange of India.
Thank you, Netra. Those of you who know me, I'm Dhruv. I used to work for the company for 25 years. And I'd like to mention especially Dhiman, Netra, Rahul, so we started the humble beginning with 8 people in one of the small office here in Pune, and I guess we grew, especially the Indian office, we were around 130 odd employees here. So kudos to you guys. You managed to make inroads into a very difficult market, especially in the energy domain, and another 25 years to go. So I'm giving you all the best wishes for So coming back to the C&I perspective, let me just put some perspective, especially in terms of numbers. So recently, the country as a whole, we touched around 240 gigawatts of peak demand, which translates to around 4,400 billion units. 4,400 billion units a day, out of which around 3,800 billion units are being supplied by coal per se as of now, which translates to approximately about 80% of your energy which we are currently consuming is still coming from coal. And in terms of wind and solar, especially the renewables one, it varies from 12 to 18% on any given day. So, and the country's target, at least in the last 1 year, has been to reach up to 45% in the next 4 or 5 years. So that's a very big ladder we have to climb in the next few years. And there have been a lot of road maps, but still a lot has to be done on the ground, especially in terms of renewable integration, as well as pushing or basically adoption by the customers. Not only the industrial customers, a majority of the industrial consumers are very sensitive in terms of the sustainability as well as that they are price conscious, but it has to translate to the other segments of the customers, that the domestic customers. So, so looking from that perspective, the exchange has come up with different options for all the customers. So currently we are limited, we are regulations up to 1 megawatt of all the customers, so we are limited only to the industrial segment. But with the transition to the green energy open access, so now this option has been offered to a relatively smaller C&I segment, above 100 kilowatt. So those customers also can come and participate on the platforms like ours as an Indian Energy Exchange, and can actually procure power via green or industrial, depending on their requirement, their cost effectiveness, their sustainability goals. In terms of carbon ecospace, we are also working on different modalities and coming into the voluntary carbon market space. And a couple of opportunities are there, especially in MOF, and they are implementing the cap and trade and the voluntary mechanism. So we are still figuring out. So you'll probably hear pretty soon some good announcements from our side after the COP also. That's it from me.
Sure, and thanks for letting us know that there will be another segment for this specific to green open access, and I'll come back with the question that how exactly smaller consumers can participate. But as we are talking about this renewable energy, and distributed renewable energy is also part of the solution, and we do have this rooftop solars installed at the plant levels on site. And in 2011 to 13, actually, we had looked at demand response as one of the options where which can help utilities to manage their supply and demand, as well as serving their consumers with the better pricing, because managing that power purchase procurement with availability of load which can be relieved from the grid, and voluntary consumers willing to participate in it. So Mahesh, I would like to take your perspective on when we are talking about commercial and industrial consumers. In between there was, at that time there was actually shortage of energy on the grid. In between there was a surplus energy. And we just said that India's peak demand reached 238 gigawatt, and our I think thermal capacity is almost similar. So do you see that interest back again on demand response? Which states are working, which utilities are willing to take that approach?
Thank you. Thanks, Netra. And firstly, I just want to sort of congratulate CS for having completed 25 years. And some of you may not know, or most of you may not know, I was the first employee of CS in India. And a lot of gratitude towards Stephen, Roshan, Netra, Dhruv. We have a wonderful time. In fact, Stephen and Roshan hosted us in US for some time, and so did Netra and Rahul. So really glad that even Indian operations are since sort of flourished and really gone beyond anyone's imagination. So really happy to be here, and let me talk about the demand response question here. And I call this discussion as some willing dispensation of disbelief in demand response. I think that's very important as far as I am concerned. So there is a lot of disbelief, and there are some fact checks that we need to bring into the discussion when we talk about demand response. So just to give you a little bit of quick context, the demand response is embedded in the demand side management regulations of over 29 states in the country. So we have some regulatory process that is already up and running, and at the same time we have several enabling regulations, including the ancillary services regulations. We still hope that would be rolled out and would be brought into even the India Energy Exchange and some of the power exchanges platforms. And at the same time, there are several other enabling regulations and policies that exist, mostly the solarization policy. And at the same time, we have the net metering and the rooftop policies, which we have really seen a very interesting swing. We never thought of 100 kilowatt being sort of allowed for that first. And secondly, in the very recent past, the Maharashtra Electricity Regulatory Commission bumped up 1 megawatt to 5 megawatt as the rooftop. And that is a very promising opportunity for all demand response providers, at the same time renewable energy providers, and all the cost optimization experts and the industries to sort of benefit from that. I would like to quickly talk about the first ever demand response initiative that was formally launched, which was approved by the regulator, and unfortunately, that happens to be, in my opinion, the only demand response initiative that was approved by any regulatory commission in the any state regulatory commission in India. And that's unfortunate. We have seen at least 10 pilots on the demand response side, which were funded by the World Bank, USAID, and some of the bilateral and multilateral agencies. But we're not really seeing that converting into specific opportunities for service providers like CES and others to sort of contribute to the cost optimization problem. There is a lot that is being talked about here as far as renewable energy is concerned, but in my sort of personal opinion, I think this is all about cost optimization. It's not a choice or a substitution from a thermal towards renewable energy, but it's essentially a cost optimization problem that we need to think about. I'm really glad to hear from our fellow panelists that they have really achieved net zero, or you're moving towards net zero, not only your premises, but scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 as well. So coming back to the what are the opportunities for CNI consumers? Obviously, 100 kilowatts for the net metering part of it, as well as 5 megawatts, which is for the solar rooftop, is a very important and aggressive step taken by at least one regulatory commission. And I can guarantee you that that's going to be replicated in several other states. There are already some discussions and staff papers that are floating around. That's the first part. Second part is there is some level of understanding and recognition that rooftop or behind the meter renewables are going to cost a little bit more, or a lot more, compared to a utility scale. Because one of the I would say spoilers in the renewable energy market and even the battery energy storage market that at least I've seen is the comparison with the utility scale renewable energy. So obviously you're going to get it like 2.5 rupees or 3.1 rupees, but all of us have been doing this analysis, right? And we do not see anything below 5.5 rupees if it comes to solar rooftop behind the meter. And that's again an opportunity for comparing and contrasting with the tariffs that you see in the CNI consumer base. Maharashtra, I think, has the highest tariff in CNI consumer base. Okay, so if you can't really leverage the cost optimization opportunity through solarization as well as including the battery energy storage systems, we ran a lot of models for CNI consumer base as well. And so has several not-for-profits and think tanks, including Auroville. Auroville has done fundamental work as far as getting some of the cost revealed for the behind the meter in the CNI consumer base, and their cost was like 8 rupees, and the consumers in Maharashtra pay nothing less than 13 rupees. I think it's a no-brainer for us to move forward with combination of solarization and the battery energy storage systems. I'm also fond of other types of battery energy storage or storage systems that are possible, specifically thermal energy storage. And in fact, one of the key contributors in the demand response program that was launched by Tata Power way back in 2013-14 was thermal energy storage systems from 2 facilities in the Mangalore complex, as well as from Hiranandani, one of the hotels. So I think that tells us that we can't really, we have an opportunity to even cost optimize the consumption at the end use levels. And that's where I think we need to also sort of change the thinking towards moving away from the supply side alone to looking at supply and demand side together. And that's where I really hope that with the new market positions that are going to be promoted by IEX, and at the same time some of the new policy and regulatory enablers that are already available in the form for the CNI consumers, I think we have to see a good future. And I'll just mention one more point and it's stop. I heard Rahul talk about SECI. I really would like to encourage SECI and all of us together as an industry and ISA particularly to work with SECI to have some RTC tenders that would embed demand response and demand flexibility in addition to some of the other large-scale storage facilities that are being talked about. And anything that we can do as an industry and as an association, as CES, will be happy to contribute in that process. Back to you, Netra. Thank you.
Thanks, Mahesh. Your last point about RTC tenders. So recently, actually, SECI has floated FDRE, that fixed and dispatchable renewable energy tenders, because their experience so far is they had floated a lot of gigawatt scale tenders for just solar and wind, and now distribution companies are unable to absorb that power because of the variability, and they really want that load following renewable energy, and that is why they have come up with the FDRE, and I think they are out, I think under bid, it is currently being done. You talked about this behind the meter solutions and having the solar on rooftop and the cost of it. I think the scale of that plant matters, and that's where the cost is higher. But even if we see that on the open access grid scale solar, if commercial industrial consumer has to purchase that energy, we have to calculate the landed cost of it. So although the energy is available as 350, 4 rupees per unit, the landed cost of energy decides what exactly going to be when they are consuming at the facility. And again, the other points are how exactly distribution company is going to settle that energy, what are the banking regulations. And in Maharashtra, solar is, we will not be able to settle the solar energy in the evening peak hours. So there as well, there is a scope for integration of storage, where the evening peak hour energy can be supplied through renewables. But we have to have that right modeling exercise at how much solar, so that the levelized cost of energy for the entire supply remains within the commercial benefit. Bikash, you have just gone through this exercise. What can you say as an experience or learnings from that by doing that decision of signing that 25-year PPA of solar? So, because 25-year or 15-year even lock-in is a big commitment, a long-time commitment, and what terms and conditions or risk assessment that one should have by signing that, if you can throw some points.
So this is a long-term commitment which the company is signing because it is needed so that it becomes viable from both the side, both from the supply side. But before that, I just wanted to add one more point. As a company, since we are a listed company, so ESG is also a very high focus for the company. From the ESG perspective also, this journey of RE is also really needed. And we see globally that people who have very high scores of ESG is being rated by various companies, whether that is S&P and other companies and all those things. The performance or the return generated by those companies are far better than the companies who doesn't have ESG scores. So from that perspective also, moving towards this journey of RE100 was really necessary. And these are not only driven the finance people within the organization is also driving it along with the along with our ESG team. So that's one of the things. Yes, coming back to the question that the terms and conditions as such. I think that the things are evolving as such. When we looked into the PPA which came to us, we can't call PPA out here in Maharashtra, we need to call it PDA. success that the terms and conditions may remain the same or but it's more of power delivery agreement. It's again, you need to see what kind of terms and conditions are there. And the RE, for example, there were developers who were saying that the RE credit will go to the consumer, but we will take it and we'll pass on in terms of the tariff rate and all those things. But ultimately, when we want to achieve RE 100 and all those things, we need to have that RE credit with us also. This was one of the things. Again, there were conditions like, okay, if it is a 15 years lock-in, that means for the, if you are breaking it after 1 year, for the next 14 years, you have to pay the entire tariff and all those things. Those were also negotiated for a win-win situation between both the parties. And then there can be some exigencies in some of the plants which is taking this renewable energies and all those things. During those exigencies, how can we make a win-win situation whether that power can be diverted by taking special approval from the discounts and all those things. Those were negotiated. And I think the industry or the supply side people are understanding and do understand the industry or the CNI sector very well. Now they have been dealing very long and they do understand some kind of thing might happen in the industry and they are adjusting. But as a CNI consumer, we need to be more vigilant about the terms and conditions which are there and see that it does not add more risks to the company because our job is not to, because as a consumer you are a group, you do a captive thing because to get other beneficiary in captive only some certain costs are not labeled by the discount, so you get more benefit. But again, your role is not your role is something else. As your automobile auto ancillaries, we are there to manufacture auto ancillaries and supply to vehicles, not to run around discounts or not to run around people who are supplying us the power. So the terms and conditions which are following the documents, whether it is PDA or the security agreement or the option agreement and all those things, that should be very I think agencies like CES help us a lot in understanding what's happening in the industry and what are the terms and conditions which we can negotiate with them. We also learn a lot through that journey.
So it is really important to have that proper understanding of power purchase agreements or power delivery agreements. We just refer to captive mechanism, and many commercial industrial consumers in Maharashtra are opting for captive because there are cross-subsidy surcharge and additional surcharge are waived off. But in the earlier panel, we talked about subsidizing agriculture consumers. So there may be a totally different discussion panel on how exactly to balance this, because there is a distribution company having the responsibility of serving agriculture and having all the large consumers going for the captive mechanism, how exactly going to impact that on the tariff for the rest of the consumers who are not able to go. So it's a big discussion point. Let's not get into that. So Praveen ji, what's the outlook for next 5 years? So what is the plan from Bridgestone? Although you are right now carbon neutral and maybe renewable energy certificates is a part of the solution. So what is the outlook for the next 5 years?
As I told you, Bridgestone is a global company. We have our own target and this is applicable to all the subsidiaries including India. We have very clear goal for sustainability. Carbon neutral is very, very important goal and topic for us. And here we talk scope 1 and scope 2. We are carbon neutral Pune, but carbon neutral because most of things we are setting by buying the IREC. So it is very easy. Something we did good really, like we have biomass boiler, we have rooftop solar power plant. However, around 70% roughly the electricity which we are buying from government, which is not renewable actually. So what we have done actually, internationally we decided let's buy the IREC. So we are compensating through this. But the next 5 years is going to be very challenging because we do not want that we should continue by the IREC. And we have to have a complete solution for this, especially the scope to electricity. And we are also knowing that due to policy we cannot go more for the rooftop power plant, and even our roof is also not allowing this. This is Pune, similarly like Indore, even there is a restriction. You cannot go beyond, I think, 2 megawatt duty. Beyond this, government won't allow you, even though there are a lot of talk that government is promoting renewable energy, and they are promoting, but they have restrictions also in this state. The solution which I am thinking as a sustainability head in this company, and which is very much aligned with my parent company, that we have to think about some permanent solution, long-term solution. So open access captive power plant can be one of the solutions which we are now exploring. We are not professionals, so we may take support from some professionals. Those can advise us. So at the end, we should not, stuck in the kind of you're telling agreement. Because it's going to be around 25-30 years agreement. But the company motto is serving society with a superior quality, and we see superior quality is not only product, everything. Sustainability at this moment is one of the buzz for us, which is we are aiming and we are keeping under umbrella of the quality. So it is very, very important that we become green. It is also very, very important that we should be also having some economic viable solution. So our 5-year perspective is that we have to think in both the way. And that's a true meaning of the sustainability, that it's not only environment, that you have to have social, you have to have economic. Because if you don't have good balance sheet, good profit and loss and OP, I think you will not able to invest in the environment and other things. So keeping this in the mind, our 5 years, 10 years goals is that let's go for some permanent long-term solution. And we are still exploring, and I'm sure that some of like you or some other can help us in this journey, because we are specialists in tire manufacturing, alright? We are not the specialists in the energy solution, and for this we require support. And this collaboration can help us, to finally have a 5 year, 10 years roadmap. Thank you.
Yeah, so it is really important for any corporate or consumer to understand that how exactly they can strategize the renewable energy transition journey, understanding the policy, regulations, nitty-gritties of changing policies, making sure the risk is being covered when they are signing any agreements, and there are different options. So understanding the options, by adopting to some options to what percentage they can achieve, and then for the remaining journey there are different options. And VPPA, Virtual Power Purchase Agreement, is one of the options that is opening up in India, although there is not full clarity, but in coming couple of years it is happening. Idea is to setting up the renewable energy power plant, selling the energy as the plain energy, and keeping that renewable energy certificates or credits to the consumer. And that energy will be sold in the market or any third-party consumer. So Dhruv, just quickly in the interest of time, we see that recently with the large solar energy on the grid, the daytime prices on the exchange are lowered, and then you see that peak. And recently I think smaller commercial interest consumers are not able to purchase anything on the exchange. So how do you see that, when exactly the small consumers will be able to participate, or then in the coming time we see that large utilities and large generators will be participating on the exchange?
So, in order to answer you better on this particular aspect, let me take you back to 2007, 7 and 8, when actually exchange started operating. So up till 2011, from 8 to 11, it was a deficit situation for the country, and the prices were very high. After 2011 and 12, there were some of the redistribution of the coal assets, and the prices started reducing. And it stayed up till 2020 in the range of around 3 odd rupees, which was very economical for almost all the C&I sector across the country, and they were massively participating. So the exchange had almost 50-60% of volume coming from these small C&I customers, small and large as well. But after 2020, when the demand started to pick up, we were exposed because we didn't have any added capacity, which was in terms of energy supporting this increased demand. And the demand was ever growing. And this year, in first 6 months, we are around 7.8% higher than last year. And we are not able to actually meet up to that particular demand. So this deficit scenario is going to be there till the time we have sufficient capacity. So unfortunately for most of the C&I sector, the requirement is almost linear. It's throughout the day. And most of the utilities are not allowing them to purchase throughout the day. So there will, and solar adding on to that is reducing the price during the day. And as soon as the solar curve is dipping, prices are soaring at the maximum price of 10 rupees. So we are seeing this, we are observing it, and then there are some opportunities also there in this particular segment that you combine or you mix a hybrid along with the solar wind and storage. There is an opportunity in order to have an increased IRR from the solar perspective, but from the consumer perspective, unfortunately, this is a gray area. Unless until the regulator comes out that whenever the prices are low, allow them, or basically a variable bidding is allowed, like it used to be in Karnataka as well as in Tamil Nadu, the C&I will have kind of a shorthand in terms of procuring power from the local market.
So in the interest of time, I hope we are able to bring some insights, some specific insight in terms of commercial, industrial, consumers, their journey, their options, market. If anyone has any quick question, listen.
Good afternoon, my name is Ashish Vaishnav. I am an ex-Thermax guy, so obviously C&I when it comes, feel excited to ask. We have Bridgestone and Varroc here, so there's no C here, the commercial user. One of the things which we talk on energy is on the demand side. One thing was, I just heard the word of captive generation come during your answer. But use of natural gas as a fuel, you talked of biomass, boiler, I'm well aware of that. But that has somehow never picked up in India as a part of captive generation by way of tri-generation, as they call it. I don't know how many of you are aware that Dinanath Hospital is on an island mode. It's got 1.2 megawatt, 3 numbers, gas-fired generators, and the entire air conditioning is with the waste heat. So you can imagine it is unleashing about a 75-80% of efficiency on natural gas. So the carbon footprint which people typically use gas as a fossil changes the entire equation. And the point which I was trying to come is cooling, rather commercial and industry are big time people. And if they can adopt as a part of demand side management, use of things like natural gas and have price generation, no other sectors can actually do it. Here they are having money, so they are buying the certificates, whereas 70% is coming from the grid, which is coal farm. So somewhere, does this fit in your philosophy of doing things differently for industry? That is, there is no commercial user, but Hinjewadi itself could have been one of the district energy plants here. But some of these level of policy making is not happening. The second part is on scope 3. You mentioned transportation. So obviously everyone is going the EV route. That's where they think that's the only way of doing it. Here again, we are ignoring the natural gas the CNG, which is a lesser evil right now. But with the movement happening on the biogas sector, you might have heard of compressed biogas coming, especially if creative solutions can come. People like Bridgestone who are huge on logistics. You're tire people, you need automobiles, so you need to make them greener. So adopting B2B solutions where you could actually set up biogas plants and have your vehicles or your supply chain use that could be wonderful solutions of maybe reducing your scope 1 as well as scope 3. Thank you so much. I don't know your ideas, I just wanted to know your views. Thank you.
Thank you very much for idea, because you know that, and that's why I really join such kind of conferences, events, where you can get the idea. For the natural gas which you are talking, so especially for Bridgestone, we do not produce the power, we consume the power, and definitely we do not, we do not believe in coal and other things also. But we have boilers, so we use the natural gas boiler, and after then we go to biomass in the next step. See, one thing also which is I would like to put this point in this forum. Natural gas, and yesterday only I was reading news, and even though now this Gas Authority of India, GAIL, is also now contacting us. They want to mix green hydrogen. Alright, and this green hydrogen 5 to 6%, I think we do not require to do any changes, and boiler we are buying from user. And we are asking Thermax and other company buying about this boiler, whether 5 to 6% can require any change, and I'm sure there will not be change. But this is just a step where we would like to pitch in. But future, who know that maybe we will run 100% green hydrogen, and the government is working in this direction, will help us. This could be one of the idea, I don't know in the future. So I will tell you one thing, I will take more 1 minute. When I child, somebody, so I was the NCC, so my physics you cannot see that I am NCC cadre. But I was fond of this, I am C certificate because I was having very good 1-2 shooting. So I was young, and then time some lieutenant, he asked me that, what do you want, what kind of problem you want to solve? I said, I want to solve 2 problems. The first is the water, clean water scarcity. I belong to Bundelkhand, water is scarcity over there. And now you don't believe, but even entire India is, even 2050, we will be having big crisis like South Africa. So we have to work on this. So I told that water crisis. And I am having solution also for this, whether this is work or not, that we have plenty of, sea water. If you can convert cheaply, and transport, distribute, this can be one of the solution. Still, we have not good solution. The second thing I told, the energy. Energy is that if we can convert the air, which is everywhere present, as a fuel, I think entire problem will solve. It was kind of, my ambition at that time. I was not knowing many things. But this green hydrogen is giving such kind of things actually. You are changing, using solar, wind power, and you are making the hydrogen, and who know that in 10 years, big revolution. I don't know, maybe if you know, that's okay. I don't know, it may come out. So these are the idea actually we have to keep in our record, and we have to work on it. Maybe something here which can help us.
Thank you. So that brings us to the end of this session, and we can connect over tea. As we said earlier, it's a journey, and role of emerging technologies like green hydrogen and others we will cover in the next session. But within the existing policy and regulatory framework, there are many solutions which are beyond concept level and can be implementable. It is important that we look at those solutions and make sure that they are part of our portfolio and take this journey ahead. So thank you very much all of you joining for this panel, and thanks all the audience. Thank you.
Insightful discussion. I would like the panel to have a group photo, please. Group photo. I would request all to enjoy the refreshments and be back in next